Divine
Blessings on
blessings.
blessings, y'all. How are y'all flowing this plasma?
We are so excited to be back. I'm Ray,
And I'm Sahat,
and
and we
we're
are
your
your favorite
favorite spiritual
spiritual couple.
couple. And we are here interviewing the Neil Gaur as we talk about the Integrator Summit. We are so excited to just bring to you guys like balance between mind, body, and spirit. But most importantly, it's the integration of the three. In order to really reach your true level of self mastery, you have to be able to integrate mind, body, and spirit. So we're really excited to talk to Neil, figure out what it is that Portal to Ascension is about, and what is he going to be bringing to the Integrator Summit. So without further ado,
Yes, Neil, please tell us about a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this journey to Portal to Ascension.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much, guys, for having me here. And hello to everybody out there. So, my name is Neil. I am founder of an organization called Portal to Ascension. And the way it kind of started is, I guess, like as a kid, I thought something was wrong in the world. Now I even have a different perspective. Like, I really feel that everything's happening the way it should. But back then, before I even like fully woke up, I felt there was something not in alignment that could be on this planet. I felt disconnected from a lot of things. And as I was growing older, I was raised in the Hindu faith. I pretty much just went to temple, mandir, and I would do like whatever I was told, do the rites and rituals. But I never truly believed, had any firm belief. So for quite some time, I used to say to people that I was an atheist Hindu, right? Like I was like following Hindu ways, but I was atheist. And now, like in the last 2 years, actually, I shifted it because instead of being the victim to that story, I've realized that because I was raised Hindu, I was never told it was the only way, right? So, so not being told is the only way allowed me to be open to many different things as a child. And my parents, we celebrate Christmas every year. I was really versed in Jesus and Moses and world religions. So when I graduated high school, like in year 2000, age 18, I started like first I went to college, and all of a sudden it's all this like music and all these influences. But I started questioning and wondering, what is the root of all religion? Is there a commonality? And the reason why I had that thought was I was seeing so many scriptures and how in these scriptures they had so many similar stories. Like you can even like Krishna and Christ, for example, so many parallels to the story. But how can these be so similar if they're different religions? So is there some sort of root to it? So the exploration of the root led me to, William Henry, Jordan Maxwell, and Jim Self. They were the first three people, and then Nassim Haramein, 2001, 2003. And that kind of just like shifted my perspective. Like, whoa, there's some source material that a lot of ancient cultures pulled from, right? What does this source material say? And is there anything further back than that? So that kind of started the whole thing. Ever since then, I've been going down the rabbit hole. 8 years later, I started Portal to Ascension.
wow.
And let's dive deeper into that. What was the catalyst for Portal to Ascension? Like, how did you come up with that name and that platform to where it's at now and how it's growing and thriving?
Yes. So it really started as like a group that I created on Facebook called 2012 Consciousness, Mind, Evolution, and Presence. Right, long name. It was a Facebook group, and I created it in 2006 because I was kind of curious. Like I had like 5,000 plus Facebook friends all over the world that were all into spirituality. It's like a huge exchange of ideas at that point, and so I had all these connections. So I decided, why don't I create a Facebook group where my friends and other people can join and share information so I can learn more, right? So I was using that, and all these people putting videos, content, channeling material. So I was consuming all of that. And from 2006 to 2008, I changed the name a few times because it was a huge evolution. 2006, 2008, huge change in my reality from being mostly actually fear-based a little bit because, I believed in the them, I believed in they coming after us, and we're going to be like screwed over by them and we have no chance of escaping it, even though this is all spiritual, So like I was deep in the conspiracies. 2 years later, a lot of things shifted. And in 2008, I noticed summer 2008, like I got to say like 90% of the people I asked when did they wake up had like something happen in that time, 2008. And that was the year I changed the name to Portal to Ascension. Because as I was shifting during those 2 years, it went from that long name to Cosmic Consciousness, Mind, Evolution, and Presence, and then Cosmic Consciousness, Evolution, and Presence, because I even stopped thinking it was about the mind, take out the word mind. And then it went just pure Cosmic Consciousness. And then 2008, summer of 2008, I had a shift in my reality where I kind of realized that the darkness is working for the light, that these people are higher dimensional beings coming here to give us this experience, and even the whole concept of Lucifer, he was misunderstood. Lucifer was a volunteer, and it's just the way we demonize and the vibration that people exist at. So as I had that huge milestone shift in 2008, 2 weeks later, I had a dream, and the dream was change the name to Portal to Ascension. So I changed the name. And at the same time, I created New York chapter, Canada chapter, UK chapter. I created a fan page. I had 2 groups. So it really got huge within 3-4 years. So 2012 hit. That's when I created my first huge conference. Even though between there, 2008, 2011, I was doing small workshops, sound and vibration, channeling, that kind of stuff. And then 2012 was really the milestone when I created a larger event.
Wow, that is so amazing. There's some beautiful points to your story. I absolutely love how you ask such complex questions to yourself and like to the universe. Like Tony Robbins says this all the time, the quality of your life is the quality of questions you ask. And for you to just be like, what is the root to all of these different religions, Right. I was raised Catholic, but like my mom's side of the family is Haitian, and my dad's side of the family, they are like Baptist and American. And so just being raised with 2 different cultures and seeing 2 different, even though they're both Christianity, they operate in very different ways. Their services are very different. It caused me to ask a lot of questions because we grew up with like, oh, this is the only way. And so many people were confused. And so I found myself asking a lot of the same questions too. So it's really exciting to see like, okay, well, what is the answer? And then the action, and then what your action like stemmed and blossomed into. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. There's a lot of catalysts too. Like, it's interesting to observe the way people wake up, right? We have so many different ways. And when I interview people, almost always I start with, how did you become who you are? How did you wake up to this? Were you born like this? Did your family influence you? Did you have a milestone event? So I'm so interested in just the journey that we all take to find this truth, right?
Yeah. And it's so beautiful and unique every time.
And I love the fact that you said that the darkness is working for the light, that basically they're catalysts to get us to shift something in us on that path to self-mastery, on that path to ascension.
Exactly.
So talk to us about like your observations since you started like pre-2012, your observations with the energy and how it has shifted since pre-2012 to now.
I gotta give you, that's a great question. Standing ovation for that one. All right. So, I love talking about this actually. That's why. So like, honestly, like, so 2008, there was a lot of, like, this awareness obviously has become more and more accessible to people, right? Like, I'm going to talk about in a second the amount of like streaming platforms and content that exists now that wasn't there in 2008. There was a website. So let's say like 2004, 5, 6, when I was really doing deep research, I would find an HTML website about the Sumerians that was like 10 pages long with straight up just HTML text, right? So that was like the most common thing. And Crystal Links was the website, the main website, that just had all this content. And I was reading about the Sumerians there, and then Jordan's Maxwell videos were linked there. And even William Henry, you guys, are you familiar with William Henry? Yeah, yes. So I work with him a lot. His stuff was available on Netflix at that time. Okay. Oh, wow. So yeah, so back then, when Netflix, before it became a digital platform, they were shipping all this stuff to you. And I was just getting mad William Henry stuff, like Technicolor Dreamcoat information, and just like Rainbow Light Body content. So it was rare to find these things on a mass level, but there were some places like 4 or 5 people that had things on Netflix. Nassim Haramein had like 12-hour videos at that point where he was just really just dumping out a lot of information. So I was just kind of like doing that on a grassroots level, also sharing content, sharing full text articles on Facebook. And then come 2000, moving up to 2012, from 2008 to 2011, I was traveling full time from San Diego to Vancouver, Victoria Island, back down to San Diego for around 3 years, every other day doing an event, a sound healing event, a channeling event. The level of ability to market was very minimum compared to what's available now. I would team up with local studios, yoga centers, utilize their email list to really get the awareness out. I also noticed though, like from 2010 to 2012, a lot of people, I would say more than 60% of the people on the circuit, if you will, the ones that are really doing the heavy work, going around the world doing this stuff, believed in shifting in the world come 2012, December 21st, 2012, in which it was like a whole new reality. And a lot of people weren't even planning after 2012. A lot of people were waiting for that date. Many people thought there was going to be an event on that day. Some people thought we were going to ascend to another dimension on that day. Like hardcore, like I could list off all these people that literally like, and I was one of them. I didn't plan anything after 2012. I did my first major conference in November 2012, a month before December 21st, to be like my last hoorah, you know, like who knows what's gonna happen, you know? And I wasn't like, I did believe that something could occur and we could shift overnight, and I wanted to believe that because I had a life of trauma where I was trying to heal it, and I was just ready for something new, you know. And I've been doing a lot of healing work since then. So after 2012, I noticed a sense of embodiment occur where a lot of people stopped believing in dates and stopped looking into the future for something and started assisting people and living more presently and then becoming more present with what they're doing and an integration into main life. Pre 2012, I would say there was more of that new age mentality of the light over the darkness. After that point, a lot of people now, and even though some people still going around and say like, those people that are against the darkness but believe in the light, there's still those that have that kind of belief system. I would say most people that I know and I connect with really understand that this is this happy marriage, and it's not about creating a contrast and being like, the other over me, even though sometimes the fear does get a hold of us and we even become a part of that sometimes. But I feel we're understanding now how this is all working for our betterment, and how we basically chose, as I was sharing with Tangela today at the Conscious Life Expo, how not only are we elected, but we also selected to be here. We're also selected to be here. So that's like, honestly, I could do a whole hour long based on this one question that you said, but that's a little bit of how things have changed. And I'll just say also the content, the availability of information is just insane. And this year alone, the amount of conscious platforms, TV networks that have been created, I mean, there was like 4 or 5 of them at the Conscious Life Expo alone, right? So it's just becoming more and more mainstream. I feel people have just like, kicked up the gear for all this awareness.
Yeah, it's so exciting because like this is the greatest time to be alive. Like we're here to experience the change and the shift and the evolution of humanity for the better. Mm-hmm. We've been in the quote unquote dark ages for so long, but I would like to bring some light too to the conversation of this dark versus light. Mm-hmm. Like we feel like we're in a space now where we're embracing the endarkenment versus the enlightenment, because it is through the shadow, it is healing through the shadow, and all creation comes from darkness anyway, right? That's a space of pure creation, right? Think of like the womb, right? I know, right? Yeah. And I'm like super excited. So I would love to open up that conversation. Like, what are your opinions and your perceptions about light versus dark?
All right. So a phrase that came to me a few years ago that I've been saying now lately is the most unconditional thing that the light ever did is allow the darkness to exist within it. And because everything, so my perspective goes into this, that the descension is no more better than the ascension, but we're free will beings that are allowed to give them the perception to, to have one or the other. The universe works towards harmony. Harmony is still neutral, but it tends to go into the positive over the darkness. Because when you're in harmony, you're in balance with everything. You're not fighting against it. So I feel that we came down to this earth in order to have experience, that all incarnations are experience. And that source, singularity, oneness, right? Because quantum physics and metaphysics to me are the same thing. In quantum physics, you have singularity. Metaphysics, you have oneness. In quantum physics, you have dimension. Metaphysics, you have dimension too, but also realm, right? So it's like everything is like one way of looking at it linearly and one way of looking at it musically and creatively. So source, the singularity, the oneness, was the infinite singularity, the cosmic egg, the Big Bang. Every single creation talks about this infinite potential that bursts into countless possibilities, right? Big Bang explodes, linear factual observation, countless possibilities expands, metaphorical poetic expression, right? So as the infinite singularity bursts into countless possibilities and then eventually became duality, do you think that the initial singularity that all experience came from judges one part of itself over the other part, or does it love itself equally? That's the question, right? And if it loves itself equally, that means it loves its darkness as well. And when it said, I want to experience myself infinitely, it may not have known what that meant. Maybe it did, but it also meant every experience, including the depths of the darkness. And right now on Earth, we really have the depths of darkness occurring on many levels, and which gives me the understanding that we've experienced the depths of duality. And now with your in the world of amnesia that you have, your biggest trauma you can either be a master or a victim of it. So I feel the goal of everybody on this earth is to become a master of not only our individual traumas, right, but also the collective trauma of humanity, and maybe even a collective galactic karma that we've acquired through many things, DNA wars, and all these things that have happened. So ultimately, we're attempting to bring harmony. But as you said, like, I really feel that I don't judge the darkness. I see the darkness and I can feel emotional about it. And having that neutrality over the darkness allows me to be more proactive about it rather than reactive, Because when you like really upset, that's when you're picket signing, no one's doing anything, you're feeding into the energy, you're crying, you're so depressed, putting out that frequency. But when you're neutral and you're like, that's disharmonic, let me see how I can work towards bringing harmony to it, right?
I love that.
Love that. You're talking spicy, Neil.
What a cosmic answer.
Talking about these layers. There's layers to it.
There are layers to it. Absolutely.
So I would love to hear about your journey and how you integrate everything you do into your spoken word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I started my first spoken word, my first poem, like when I was 16, right, in 1998. And at that point, it was just like there was a class, an English class, where we had to get poems from the Second World War, and we had to make our own poem based on those poems. And I made my first one, and it was freaking awesome. And I was like, whoa, like this is great. So as soon as that went on, like by the time I was 17, 18, I started like creating poems like The Dead and the Dying, like about World War II, and then like Suicide Memo, where I was taking on a person's basically putting myself in somebody else's shoes and writing a suicide memo to the universe. Like those are the kind of poems I started with. Very, very poetic, right, compared to the spoken word, which is different than conventional poetry. So I started creating that, and I was listening to heavy metal, at the time, and some punk music. And I was also listening to classic rock and English reggae because that's what I grew up on, right? And when I was like in high school, come like 16, 17, I was introduced to Ice Cube, right? It was like my first, and then Lil Half Dead, Mo Thugs, and Bone Thugs, So and then NWA. So I was like, whoa, that's very interesting. This music that I'm creating goes to these beats. Right after that, I went straight into the underground hip hop, right? Like hardcore, beyond underground, like straight up classical music with poetry over it, like the underground before they become the underground we know, right? And so that was like, I was like, wow, this is hip hop with poetry. So I began writing my stuff to poetry, and I just started college. And at the same time, I started experimenting with mushrooms, with psychedelics. And I was listening to the band called Tool that was all about this stuff. I had no idea at that point. And all these concepts of the universe was coming to me, planets. So I was actually creating a short story about beings from a different planet when I was like 19. And then I was also researching online different types of words to utilize for my poetry on quantum physics, all that stuff. So that actually is how I was looking for the root of all religion. I was looking for poetry to words to inspire and concepts to inspire my poetry. And those things together brought me to ancient civilizations and science at the same time. And I began utilizing what I was, my poetry to convey entire concepts and information that I was finding online. So that was the beginning. For around 2000 to 2008, I was writing a lot. And then 2008, summer 2008, the same month I created the name Portal to Ascension. That's when I performed live for the first time at an open mic. And then now it's just been growing ever since, man. I'm actually about to launch my music album, my poetry album, in 2 weeks, and my book is about to be coming out on Amazon, and that's called Planet Earth: Music from the Next Dimension. So it's my first poetry book.
Oh, so
Yeah.
awesome.
You
That's
ready?
exciting. So
Yeah.
your book comes out with your album?
Yeah. So I'm putting them out at the same time, and the album like is freaking. I love it, like because I found somebody on Fiverr that was a classic musician, violin, piano, viola, trumpet, and I hired him to. I gave him all the a cappella spoken word tracks, and I hired him to make a themed album utilizing all live classic music instruments. So it's classical
Mhm.
music with my poetry on top of it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to check that out.
I
Yeah,
bet the
thank you.
vibe is out of this world.
Yeah, because I've watched your videos on Instagram where y'all are freestyling, and
Yeah,
man, you really just channel this cosmic energy when you come through. It's
thank you, man.
profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so freestyling was I didn't mention that freestyling was my actually inspiration for everything. Like 19, 18, 19, 20, 21. I was like at parties in college, freestyling for hours on end. It's my favorite thing to do. And right now as well, like I just freestyled a couple of tracks in the studio in Mexico. So I want to release an album that sound like fully produced songs, but just freestyles. It's my dream.
Dope.
Mm.
Oh.
What drew you to Mexico?
Well, so I've been going to Mexico for the last 6 years, 7 years, and I've been going like every November, which is the best weather in the Yucatan. And I've experienced other places like the north because my ex-wife, she's Mexican from Tijuana, so I would go to the north. But when I went to the Yucatan 6, 7 years ago, I felt like kissing the ground. Like the connection to the Mayan Peninsula that I have is so huge that the first few times I went there, I just wanted to cry. And so,
Mm.
so and then I started researching and going and exploring the ancient sites and all that stuff. Plus, I have a community there, and I love good weather. So it's good weather all year round. Caribbean, blue ocean, all types of people moving in from all over the world. There, less restrictions on everything. And for the last few years, they had none actually. So I just feel the level of freedom that I get there, and then also the ocean, the jungle, archaeological sites. Only 5% of them are excavated. The potential for that area is a lot, and the energy I feel it. So that's just actually that's only a little bit of why. Like I love the people, I love the food, all of it.
I
That's
love it.
dope.
I'm with that.
I
Hmm.
wanted to kind of bring attention to spoken word and poetry, and then also like the power of language.
Mm.
One thing that I bring to my clients and like I coach all the time is like your language is everything. Your language is how you create the reality that you exist within. So talk to us a little bit how you leverage language not only just in your spoken word but in your everyday life.
Ooh. So I would say, okay, in my spoken word, I utilize language in which I now have been able to embed frequencies into the way I perform it. Like so, a lot of these tracks have just come to me in the moment. Most of my poems, like the best poems, are less than 5 minutes that I created them in, right? And then some for some reason, like the most powerful ones just stick into my head after the first time I write it. So what happens after I understand or memorize the poem? I'm able to work so much on the performance that the way I do is full range frequencies that not only you're getting the information, because the informations are codes. Like today, actually, while I was driving to Conscious Life Expo today, I was saying one of my poems to myself in the car. And I was actually like, let me take it slower and remember what I was saying. Because I wrote this like 10 plus years ago that I say it and it's an experience. So I did it slower to kind of reflect on what I originally thought. Right. And I
Mhm.
realized like the metaphors and the gravity of the concepts that are coming in there are their own codes. And then when I do the performance, like the one that you shared from Conscious Life Expo 2 days ago,
Mhm.
when I say certain words like love, when I do certain drops, it's almost like I think my poetry honestly is on like ayahuasca journey through music. And so that's what my hip hop album, oh my, it's gonna be so trippy. The conventional verses and choruses I'm not utilizing. It's basically a journey through spoken word, and then after one word, we go off into this other realm of frequencies, you know. So the concepts and definitely the way I perform it. Now, in regards to like how do I utilize it in my daily life, I would say that I'm really self-aware, and at the time at this moment, I can't think of different words I say. It'd probably come back to me later in the day. but I'm definitely self-aware in the way that I speak about myself and others around me, and also in a non-triggering way and taking responsibility when I need to, and also being, I'm working on it now, actually. I would say like in the last 3 months, is a huge difference. Speaking vulnerably and speaking honestly in order for baggage not to be created in people that I'm working with, so that we can be true about how we're feeling emotionally and be okay to feel the way we feel, but communicate in a way that doesn't create resentment reactions and things like that. I don't know if this makes sense, but
No,
yeah,
perfect sense. It
yeah. So
makes
that's where
perfect
I'm
sense.
at. Hmm.
And you bring up such a great point, communication, because everything is light, sound, resonance. So through our thoughts, through our vernacular, we are communicating in some kind of way. And when we bring that attention and awareness to our communications, it really heightens us to new levels
Yeah.
about ourselves and how we view outside of ourselves. So I love
Yeah.
that.
We're a
Hmm.
huge fan of the Stargate experience. And one
Hmm.
thing that Alcazar says all the time is to release judgment. And I feel like judgment has been so programmed within us. And that's like one
Hmm.
of the biggest things that I'm noticing is the hardest pattern to break in people is their sense of judgment. So talk to that person for us for a moment. Like, what would you say to someone who is bringing awareness to their language, but
Yeah.
they have a problem either judging self or overjudging others?
Yeah, yeah, and like it comes up for me too: judgment, jealousy, resentment. So first, the first thing to know, it's okay for it to come up, and not to try to fight something that's coming up. It's coming up for a reason. Every feeling, every emotion you have comes from something, and usually it's not something that you like came here with. Even though it could be like a past life thing, but that's also probably based on some wounding. And a lot of things from age 3 to 7 occur to us, and I had a lot of trauma during those ages, and they created an imprint in my body that even though I did healing and therapy, it was my body still reacted a certain way because of it. And jealousy and resentment and things like that would come up. So as I said, the first thing is really not to judge the fact that these things come up for you, and have compassion for yourself. And the more you have compassion for yourself as they come up, the more you'll see they'll dissipate. You won't feel out of place, disconnected as much as when you have that initial judgment. And then the second element really would be for me is to realize that not only that we have these wounds, but we're literally all in this together. The only way we're going to really move forward is if we connect and unite. A lot of judgments come up because we feel like we're missing something, or judgments come up because we feel like somebody isn't doing something the way that we feel they should, right? And I feel we're all products of our environment and experience. And if you really are working towards something in the world that you want to create an ascended world, the only way we're going to do it is by releasing these emotions in a way that is healthy, so that we can reform connection. And then how can you stay connected with someone even if you have a judgment come up, and also love yourself enough to not judge yourself? You know what I mean? So, there's no real answer there, but I would say having compassion with yourself, allowing to come up. And if you really want to like release them, then you do some deep somatic release work. Like I've been doing breath work hardcore lately. I've been doing things, inner child healing. I sent a letter to my parents a week ago about my whole life, and they acknowledged it. We had a whole conversation. There's so many different ways that you can release things from the moment it happened. But maybe you could first ask yourself, what is it really that happened to me? Did something occur? Was it something as a child? Did somebody not include me in something? What is the real reason that I have this judgment? And then start there.
Yeah.
And that's really where that inner alchemy comes in, when you can analyze and bring awareness to those parts of us
Mhm.
that are not really serving us, these
Hmm.
lower emotions, these limiting beliefs, and release that so that we can attain that self-mastery. Because it's when you are in that space of compassion for yourself, you can forgive yourself. It's a lot easier to forgive others because you see that reflection of yourself,
Hmm.
like, hey, yo, we just out here having a human experience. We all trying to figure it
Yeah.
out. Ain't nobody did you come with a manual? I ain't come with a manual. I
No.
don't think any of us came with a manual on how this works. So we all
Yeah.
just figuring it out together, and
Straight up.
that really emphasis on together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I realized that my dad and I, like, we're relationships healing quite a lot right now. But I realized like a few weeks ago that a lot of the things that he was angry at me was things that he didn't like within himself, that
Yeah.
he didn't want me to have, because he really just wished he didn't have those. And then a lot of my frustration and anger, many different things, but some of them was that I saw things in him that I didn't like about myself. His quietness, sometimes social awkwardness, his anxiety in certain situations, his lack of communication, those things, in certain things that you really need to connect with people. And I felt like I adopted a lot of them, and I really hated that part of me. You know, Shifting into realizing everything is a superpower, right? I'm still like in the process of shifting that. Yeah, but so it's just interesting to note that we really do sometimes judge parts of ourselves, and that reflects into others.
Wow.
And that is part of being human. We can be all high vibrational, have our crystals, meditate. We're still going to experience this human experience, and we're going to go through those emotions and just bring awareness that, hey, this is energy and motion. I need to let that go.
I
Let
think
it
the
pass.
release is most important for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, just let it pass and work through, acknowledge it like, okay, now I can bring some inner alchemy into the situation so that
Yeah.
the next time something like this happens, I'm navigating a different way. My perspective has shifted.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Definitely, definitely. Oh my gosh, I love this conversation. This is such
Yes.
a beautiful conversation. I would like to bring a little, like, let's draw the curtain back a little bit. I know you're going to be presenting a little spoken word at the Integrator Summit, but before we talk about like what you'll be presenting, talk about how you integrate in your life mind, body, and spirit. Like, what are some things that you do, whether if it's routine or a ritual or whatever?
Yeah, I've actually felt a lot of disassociation in my life, right? And from early childhood, and when I was in a plant medicine ceremony in 2016, I had a whole download of what I was bringing, why I created Portal to Ascension, things I didn't know for 8 years, and it was basically to heal that disconnection that I felt and the disassociation I started having. So what I've been doing now, and the theme of this year for myself, which is interesting because I've had interviews and different conversations with people, and a lot of people have said the same thing for this year for themselves, which is embodiment. You know, feeling feeling good in my body, loving my body, being present in my body, and being present with others. Hardcore presence for people in relationships, especially now, and listening is really what I'm focusing on. So as I've kind of forgot the question, but I think I'm answering it. So as I'm working on this sense of embodiment, I'm really bringing forth a presence to my work, a trust in what I'm doing and in the universe that I haven't had before, and also opening up to the connections that I have and the support I have around me.
Yes,
Beautiful.
embodiment.
Yes. That is that and that's so synchronistic because we were just talking about the embody and that's such a huge topic, embodying and collaboration.
Yeah.
Just operating in that space of integrity, being what you want to receive and and also connecting with others because we go farther when we're together.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay, so if you were talking to somebody coming to the Integrator Summit, what would you tell them to expect from you this Saturday?
Okay, so is there a specific? Did I provide a topic? I don't think I did. Right? We're just going flowing with it.
No, I think Tangela had mentioned you were gonna do some spoken word, but
Yeah.
no, we didn't. We don't have a yeah, we don't
Okay.
know. We're like,
How long's my slot so I can figure out what I'm gonna do?
I think you have 30 minutes.
So definitely I'll do some spoken word. Um, and I want to. There's so many things I want to share, but this is about really integrating with the energies of the moment, right? And creating that
Mhm.
sense of presence with what we're doing and integrating, right, on that level.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I feel I will maybe lead some humming and chanting, right? And so I'll get my good mic out for this. And then we're basically going to do humming, which releases NO2 in the nasal cavity, which is the literally what gets depleted through dementia when people get senile, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. We'll do some humming and move into the chakra sounds and maybe even the vowel sounds. Do some of that because chanting, honestly, and breath work I've done hundreds of modalities, and that I've found to be when you vibrate the inner side of your body, you can't help but be more in your body, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll do that. I'll choose some spoken word pieces so that we can have in between spoken word pieces.
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ready for this. I am ready.
I love it. I love it. So what else? Is there anything else you want to share with us? I know you've got some events coming up with Portal to Ascension.
Yes. So we have a lot going on this year. I was going to do one conference. Like last year, I figured that 2023, I'd do one conference on live. We still have 100 events online going on this year. But then it ended up becoming multiple things. So we have the ascensionconference.com, which is our San Diego event. Tangela is one of the sponsors. Soul Search will be there. And that's going to be a return to live events, a huge celebration in San Diego, overlooking the marina and near SeaWorld. And then after that, we have, 20, 40 online events in between these things. But we have AscensionGlastonbury.com, which is our first ever international conference, Portal to Ascension Glastonbury. And that event is a conference, retreat, tour, grid work. Ultimately, it's a grid work event. So we're doing like a conference that's really ceremonial. It's never, like, honestly, this kind of thing's never before been done in a conference setting. We've made it that we start with a ceremony. We have music in between, as almost like we're having an initiation. I love to create experiences that are like ayahuasca journeys without having to take plant medicine. I'm realizing that as I'm speaking. And we're going to be putting that heart chakra frequency into the ley line of Glastonbury and amplifying it because, there's a ley line in Glastonbury. It's one of the heart chakra centers of the world. Then after that, we take 2 tours to Egypt, EgyptAscensionRetreat.com. Then we have a co-production with Disclosure Fest, Stairway to the Stars, where we're taking over the whole of the Luxor, November 10th, 11th, and 12th. The whole Luxor is being taken over. This is also a gridwork conference to bring harmony to Vegas. 6 conference rooms, and we're gonna have the clubs and everything to do conscious music all day and night. And yeah, it's gonna be next level. You guys should come. It's literally the most megalithic.
Oh, we're gonna be
event.
there.
It's the most megalithic event ever happened on this level with this information. We got the whole entire Luxor.
Yeah,
right?
that's huge. I've been there.
Yeah. And it's done for grid work, but it's also the symbolism there, has been utilized for different reasons and a lot of nefarious energy. So we're going there we're gonna have a whole Portal to Ascension room, 6 rooms, one's Portal to Ascension. We're gonna have all this information on the truth of Egypt, So that's November 10th, 11th, 12th. On November 11th, we do a live stream which for 11/11 around the world with other 11/11 platforms from Vegas. So
that's awesome. We are coming. My birthday is November 9th. So
nice. Yeah, perfect
that's
present.
my birthday weekend.
oh damn, you're Scorpio too. I'm Scorpio as well, November 17th.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So the next weekend, I know, right? I was about to say that. I knew there was something. It's crazy. Like, I'm not hardcore and this is everything's astrology, even though I know it is. But whenever I meet a Scorpio, I just know what's up, It's like, oh shit, you too? You get it? and then we're closing the year out with November 17th, 18th, 19th. So my birthday weekend with the Crystal Skulls Conference in Sedona, crystalskullsconference.com. We're bringing all the skulls together, all the big ancient skulls and more modern ones since the first time since 2011. And so that's going to be a Sedona conference. So we really have a lot of things. Every event is not only all of them are sacred sites for the most part, and we're also creating an initiation process that's going to last this whole year. So it's really exciting stuff. Everything, by the way, guys, can be found on portaltoascension.org because I gave a bunch of websites. Portaltoascension.org, and you'll see a drop down there, in-person events, and it'll have everything.
Neil, you are out here just being cosmic. I love it,
bro. Thank you, man.
I love it.
We love you. Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're gonna come check you out in person.
Absolutely. Yeah. We gotta feel the energy live,
Yeah, well, can you guys come to San Diego? I know it's kind of soon, but if you can make it up.
When is it?
April 21st, 22nd.
The one we got invited to, wasn't it?
No, I think that was in March. Scott Katamas invited us to his spiritual retreat at the end of March. We're moving in April for a month or so. But April when? Is it like mid-April, late April?
21st, 22nd, 23rd.
We might be able to make it.
Where are you guys moving to?
It's right before our spiritual retreat. We're doing a lot.
Yeah. Well, you can come as our guest, So if you want to come, and then you can, if you want to create content there for any platforms, we can set that up too.
Love
Dope.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's schedule it. Let's make it happen.
Let's make
Okay.
that happen.
Let's make it
'Cause we
happen. We're
out
gonna
here
make it
being
happen.
cosmic together.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
have
Yeah.
the first weekend in May. We're doing a spiritual retreat in Georgia, in Jackson, Georgia, by the High Fall
Oh,
Park
nice.
area. So yeah, but we'll make it happen.
Yes.
All right.
It'll be awesome. Thank you so much for spending space with us. This was a really
My pleasure.
cosmic conversation.
Very
for sure.
cosmic. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yes, I can't
Thank
wait
you.
to have
Me too.
more.
I'm looking forward to what you are bringing to this Integrator Summit as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
And thank you so much for everyone who's tapped in. We've got people on multiple different platforms. We have some people tapping in the chat as well.
We got some greetings and love from Arkansas.
Yes. Thank you. So everyone who's watching, be sure to go to theintegratorsummit.com to get your free ticket. It is February 18th. It is literally a free event. The purpose is to integrate mind, body, and spirit to take you to the next level of self-mastery. We also noticed that there is like a separation in the conscious community between age and cultures. So we're looking to unify that as well. So we have some amazing speakers. Neil will be one of our highlighted speakers as well. And it's going to be an absolutely outstanding experience altogether.
Yes.
So theintegratorsummit.com is right below. Go there and get your free ticket right now.
Yes, and share it with someone special.
Definitely. All right.
Thank you so much, Neil. This has been truly just cosmic.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you,
sure. And you enjoy the rest of your trip in Cali.
Yes.
Thank you. I will. Yeah, and I'll see you guys this weekend.
Yep.
Yes.
See you
and
Saturday.
Safe travels going home too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Catch you later. Bye.